One night, on a quiet street in the city of Sapporo, Hokkaido, a teenage boy was making his way back home from cram school. He caught movement in the corner of his eye and turned to look at a window of a seemingly abandoned building. A pretty young girl leaned out, looking at him with contempt. Before the boy realized what was happening, she leaped out of the window and fell to the ground. Frozen in shock, he only just now realized that she was missing the lower half of her body. She wasted no time in making her way towards him, rapidly crawling on her arms and elbows and carrying a scythe in one hand. She jumped at the boy and sliced him in two at the waist. He fell to the ground, his life quickly fading away as he looked up to see the last thing he would ever see, the menacing grin of the Teke Teke. The origins of the yokai are difficult to determine, but it is one of the most recent additions to the growing collection of folklore monsters, as many theories regarding its creation relate to trains. Many stories also originate in Hokkaido, the northernmost prefecture of Japan, known for its cold winters. The most common tale of how she came to be is that she was a schoolgirl named Kashima Reiko, who either fell or became trapped near a railroad track. An oncoming train severed her body in half, but the cold winter air froze shut her veins and arteries, slowing down her loss of blood, and resulted in a slow and agonizing death as she searched for her missing legs. Her cries for help alerted a station attendant to come and see what was happening. Horrified at the sight, he covered up the girl with a tarp, for he knew that she wasn't long for this world. When schoolchildren would discuss the final gruesome moments of Kashima Reiko, she would manifest herself before them in a school bathroom 3 days after hearing of her tale. She would brandish her scythe and ask the kids a series of questions. If they were to answer incorrectly, they would be slain and their legs would be taken. If the Teke Teke asks them the whereabouts of her legs, the correct answer would be on the Meishin line. Next, if she were to ask them her name, saying Kashima Reiko would result in death. The right answer was in fact Kamen Shinin Ma, roughly meaning mask death demon. This phrase seemed to be the origin behind the name Kashima. Finally, if the Teke Teke were to ask them from who did they hear the story, the correct answer would be Kashima Reiko. If the child were to give the right answers in each case, they might be allowed to live. Another origin story regarding the yokai revolves around a female office worker based in Muroran, Hokkaido. One night, she was ambushed and raped by American military personnel. Broken by the ordeal, she threw herself off a bridge into an icy river. Similarly to the previous story, the impact of the water caused the woman to be split in two. The cold water prevented her from rapidly bleeding to death, and she managed to wash ashore and slowly crawled to a train station, where a distressed station attendant covered up what remained of her body and left her to die. Others say that she threw herself in front of a coming train, and some sources state that she was thrown in front of a train by her rapists. The belief that the winter weather of Hokkaido causing the woman's severed arteries to be welded shut adds an air of plausibility to her plight to a less educated listener, such as a child. It is, however, scientifically impossible. Apart from school bathrooms, the Teke Teke can appear along railroad tracks or dark empty roads. As she crawls, her large scythe, or a sickle, scrapes along the ground, and her dragging what remains of her body makes a sound that is represented by the Japanese onomatopoeia, Teke Teke. Some say that she is searching for her legs, or that she wishes to exact vengeance upon humanity for failing to come to her aid by having hapless victims experience what she did, usually 3 days after hearing her story. The sound of her shuffling body is the first sign of danger to her victims. She would crawl out of the shadows to appear before them. No matter how fast one would run, she would always catch up. Despite her appearance, she is incomprehensibly fast, with the ability to even catch up with a speeding car. Some locales insist that if a person were to be chased by her, they should climb up a staircase, for the Teke Teke was not able to ascend stairs. Others say that there are no secret tricks or magical charms that can save you once she sets her sights. Despite her recent creation, the yokai can comfortably be considered as an onryo, a type of vengeful spirit, usually female, the stories about which go back as far as the earliest records of the history of Japan. It can be regarded as a modernized reimagining of the old tale of a woman who was wronged in her death and vowed to return to enact revenge. A version of the Teke Teke story was the focus of a series of Japanese horror movies released in 2009 and is the subject of a recent video game. Outside of its classical yokai structure, the story is an example of one of the most early Japanese urban legends, a story that was spread around primarily by local young people, eager to incite fear in those who listened. This is a phenomenon that can be seen all over the world and bears some similarities to the folklore of the Bloody Mary apparition. The Teke Teke is a ghost story that relates heavily with the daily lives of the Hokkaido schoolchildren who talked about her, a story they would always keep in the back of their minds as they made their way back home from cram school via dark, lonely streets, walking quickly to escape the cumbersome winter weather as they eyed passing trains ferrying their passengers, looking and listening closely in case there was something, anything, lurking around the corner. Thank you very much to all my patrons, and special thanks go to my YouTube members, DK and Raven. Thank you so much for your support.